Welcome back to ZNGP Today. Marc Márquez is back in Austria ahead of the Red Bull Ring weekend and, as ever, he's blunt, focused and ready for another chapter. The Ducati star admits Spielberg has never been his happiest hunting ground, but he welcomes the ferocious, close-quarters duels the track has delivered. With Ducati enjoying a strong run there in recent years and Pecco Bagnaia the man with recent Spielberg form, this weekend promises drama as the title fight resumes. Ducati Corse technical chief Gigi Dall'Igna has outlined why the factory has chosen a cautious development path for the GP25 this season, and why that approach gives Ducati riders extra setup room rather than wholesale new parts. With major rule changes arriving in 2027, Dall'Igna says it makes little sense to take big risks on 1,000 cubic centimeters hardware now. Instead, Ducati is squeezing performance through aero, chassis tweaks, and smarter setups. Veteran paddock voice Carlo Pernat pulled no punches on the Autodigas podcast, dissecting Ducati's summer reshuffle and the psychological fallout inside the factory box. Pernat says Marc Márquez's arrival at Ducati has unsettled Pecco Bagnaia, not technically, but mentally, and that until Bagnaia clears Marquez from his head he won't return to the level that once made him a two-time champion. Pernat also touched on Liberty Media's takeover, and the sport's longer-term focus toward 2027. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Marquez admits the circuit hasn't given me great satisfaction, but quickly adds that it has produced many duels until the last corner. That sums up his relationship with Spielberg, always close, often nervy, rarely straightforward. The Red Bull Ring's punchy straights and heavy braking zones create last-lap dramas, exactly the kind of theater Marquez has featured in before. I can't wait to get back on track after the holidays. The Austrian track has never given me great satisfaction, but it has given me many duels until the last corner. Marc Márquez statement. Expect Marquez to treat Spielberg as one more tactical puzzle: rest, reset, then attack. Ducati riders have owned the Red Bull Ring recently, with a run of wins stretching from 2016 through the last three editions thanks to riders including Andrea Iannone, Andrea Dovizioso, Jorge Lorenzo, Jorge Martin and Pecco Bagnaia. That history makes the track a favorable environment for the Borgo Panigale machinery, and a tantalizing opportunity for Marquez, now on a Ducati, to close a curious gap in his palmarès, an Austrian GP win. The machinery advantage combined with Marquez's form this season makes the narrative simple. Could this be the weekend he finally converts those past near misses into victory? Pecco Bagnaia arrives with confidence. The Red Bull Ring is among his favorite venues and he's collected multiple wins there recently. Bagnaia's affinity for heavy braking zones and his ability to exploit Ducati's strengths at Spielberg mean he'll be front and center in the fight for the podium. If Bagnaia rediscovers his best Spielberg touch, Marc's path to a first Austrian victory becomes a much taller order. Beyond personal history, Marquez arrives with a championship lead and a run of dominant results behind him in 2025. The confidence that brings allows him to treat awkward tracks like Spielberg as tactical challenges rather than psychological landmines. His comment about returning refreshed after the holidays signals a rider both relaxed and razor-sharp. Form and machine align here for Marquez. The onus is on him to turn tactical fluency into race execution. Key variables include race starts, critical at Spielberg's short straights, launch and traction off the slow corners, tire management in repeated hard acceleration bursts, and how riders set up bikes for a balance of braking grip and acceleration. Given the track's character, whoever nails traction off the corners will have a significant edge. Also watch Marquez's mindset. He's framed Spielberg as a place of close fights, not easy wins. That combative tone often precedes high-drama weekends. Spielberg is a compact, punchy circuit that makes every lap count, and for Marc Márquez it's another chance to rewrite a small piece of his record book. Whether that comes as the first Austrian victory of his career or another last corner cliffhanger, the Red Bull Ring looks set to deliver the tight, aggressive racing Marquez says he enjoys. With Bagnaia and Ducati's recent Spielberg pedigree, the stakes are high, and the duels are likely to be unforgettable. With the regulations changing to a new engine formula in 2027, Dall'Igna argues developing radically on the current 1,000 cubic centimeters platform is of limited value. Big investments now would have a short shelf life, so Ducati prefers measured improvements and stability. It doesn't make much sense to continue working on bikes that currently have 1,000 cubic centimeters engines, since this displacement will be smaller in less than 2 years. Dall'Igna's statement. That strategic horizon explains Ducati's conservative stance. Protect gains now, then swing resources at the right moment for the next regulation era. Dall'Igna says the gap between the GP24 and GP25 was always intended to be small. Given the GP24's competitiveness and Ducati's strong rider roster for 2025, the factory elected not to take risky leaps that could upset balance or reliability. Even before winter testing, I emphasized that the differences between the bikes would be minimal. We knew our situation with the GP24 and an exceptionally strong rider lineup for 2025, so why would we take the risk? Risk aversion here is deliberate. Keep a winning baseline rather than chase marginal gains that might backfire. While big steps aren't on the cards, Ducati has still introduced progressive upgrades, aerodynamic refinements, and chassis updates phased through the season. Those changes have given GP25 riders a bit more scope to find performance via setup and riding style. The GP25 riders have experienced further advancements. The GP25 riders now have a bit more scope. Small, well-tested evolutions plus setup work can yield meaningful lap time gains without risking the program. Dall'Igna defends winter testing as crucial. It let Ducati validate ideas and define a low-risk strategy for the year. He stresses that even if homologation stops, learning from setup permutations on the GP24/GP25 remains valuable. Just because there are no new parts doesn't mean you can't continue developing a bike. The GP24 offers so many possibilities that setup alone can make significant strides. This is a classic engineering playbook. Mine the existing platform for gains while preserving resources for the next era. Ducati's approach buys stability and data while limiting expenditure on soon obsolete hardware. For rivals, it's a double-edged sword. Ducati consolidates its lead now, but the 2027 reset could reshuffle the pecking order, so the factory must keep its eye on long-term development too. In short, Ducati prefers to polish what already works and save the heavy artillery for the regulation change when the payoff will be maximal. Gigi Dall'Igna's message is pragmatic and strategic: small, safe steps this year, more setup freedom for riders, and heavy investment time for when the rules change. Ducati's plan is less about streaking ahead today and more about managing risk and momentum so they can pounce when 2027 opens a fresh chapter. Pernat opened with a wider observation: Liberty Media's takeover isn't an instant revolution. He expects changes to be gradual and emphasized the importance of better communication between MotoGP and the media, something he believes Liberty understands from its Formula One experience. Pernat also thinks the real technical turning point is 2027, not 2026, so the immediate future will be about managing the transition rather than dramatic rewrites. It's too soon to expect big changes. We need to work on 2027. Communication and respecting the media are fundamental, Pernat said. Pernat's message: strategic patience now, with stakeholder relations and rule changes coming into sharper focus over the next 2 years. Pernat acknowledged he misread the season. He'd previously put Bagnaia slightly ahead in the internal Ducati battle, but he failed to fully appreciate Marquez's strength, physical questions aside, and how transformative the Spaniard would be on the bike. I had said I had a slight advantage between the two Bagnaias. I didn't consider two things: Marc Márquez's strength. A blunt correction from a pundit. Form and results forced Pernat to recalibrate his view of who actually sets the benchmark inside Borgo Panigale. Pernat painted a dramatic arc for Marquez's career, the hell of injury and recovery, a purgatory period at Gresini where he rebuilt, and now, paradise, at Ducati, the environment and machine that have reignited his peak form. Pernat believes only Marquez could have pulled himself through that sequence to dominate again. No one else, in my opinion, could have managed to get out of this hell. His strength is incredible. That narrative frames Marquez not just as a beneficiary of a great bike, but as a near-mythic figure whose resilience reshaped Ducati's season. Pernat's headline claim, the moment Marquez joined Ducati, Bagnaia's mindset changed. He suggests Pecco lost his mind, overwhelmed by the proximity of a teammate who instantly redefined the internal benchmark. Pernat says this mental distraction explains why Bagnaia hasn't hit the same form, arguing the problem is psychological rather than purely mechanical. From the first day they put Marquez there, and from the first day of testing when they saw him close, in my opinion, his head went. Pernat believes Bagnaia must stop obsessing over Marquez and accept a new near-term goal, consolidating second, getting a confidence-boosting result, to rebuild the mentality that produces wins. Pernat's prescription for Bagnaia is pragmatic. Stop focusing on dethroning Marquez immediately and instead search for the moments that restore confidence. A race where you don't think about anything and you win big. Or simply a run of strong, quiet results. Only then, Pernat argues, will Bagnaia regain the psychological space necessary to challenge at the very top again. As long as he doesn't get Marquez out of his head, he'll be the same Bagnaia, maybe a slightly better Bagnaia, but not the one who beats Marquez. It's a call for mental triage, patch the headspace, collect momentum, then re-raise ambitions. Carlo Pernat's take is stark but simple. Ducati's season tilt towards Marquez has shifted more than just lap times. It has rearranged the paddock psychology. For Bagnaia, the task is mental as much as mechanical. Stop being haunted by a teammate's brilliance, rebuild confidence through incremental successes, and only then attempt a full reboot toward championship contention. Whether Pecco can make that switch will be one of the defining subplots of the season's second half. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your Motog News Update. See you next news video.